On June 3, the Security Service of Ukraine carried out a third operation, during which the supports of the Crimean Bridge were damaged underwater. The probable means of destruction could have been the sea drones, Toloka, or Marichka, since Ukraine had previously developed such weapons. This is reported by Defense Express. Although, as the publication notes, the drones mentioned are not the only possible option. The operation lasted several months. SBU agents mined the supports of this illegal facility. And today, without any civilian casualties, at 4:44 a.m. the first explosive device was activated. The underwater supports of the supports are heavily damaged at the bottom level. 1,100 kilograms of explosives in TNT equivalent contributed to this. In fact, the bridge is in a state of emergency, the SBU noted. The explosion was carried out at a depth of about 10 meters, so it is possible to assess the real condition of the support after the incident only with the help of diving operations, which will significantly complicate repair activities in the future. No less important is the question of the means of destruction of the Crimean Bridge. The laying of more than 1 ton of explosives could hardly have been carried out by swimmers. So, one of the most likely options is the use of underwater drones. It is interesting that such developments have not been heard of for a long time, despite their promise. We can recall the publicly demonstrated drone, Toloka. We are talking about the announced TLK-400, length 4 to 6 m, range 1,200 kilometers, warhead weight up to 500 kilograms, or even TLK-1000, length 4 to 12 m, range 2,000 kilometers, payload 5,000 kilograms. In August 2023, tests of the underwater drone, Marichka, were presented. This weapon is 6 meters long, 1 meter in diameter, has a range of up to 1,000 kilometers and the ability to carry more than 1,000 kilograms of payload. It is worth noting that all known Ukrainian underwater drone projects are equipped with systems for communication with the operator and satellite navigation. For this purpose, they can have a telescopic mast, as can be seen in one of the official photographs of Marichka. The route for a marine underwater drone to the Crimean Bridge, taking into account the bypass of occupied Crimea at a safe distance, is about 650 kilometers. However, the last few kilometers are objectively the most difficult, since it is necessary to take into account the possible placement of acoustic sensors by the occupiers, as well as accurately navigate the fairway without touching the boom barriers. It is possible that the underwater drone, if it was used, was installed under the bottom of the vessel heading to a Russian port on the Sea of Azov. This option solves the issue of power reserve and autonomy, as well as the problem of bypassing acoustic control. However, this distinguishes it from the currently known Ukrainian underwater drones, because its task would be to cover a significantly shorter distance. The Ukrainian air forces have intercepted and struck a drone control point of the occupying Russian army in the southern direction of the front. As a result of the strike with a MiG-29 fighter jet and a French-made AASM-250 Hammer aerial bomb, the building where the drone operators of the occupying army were located was blown up, and the unmanned aerial vehicles and the Russian servicemen operating them were destroyed. It should be noted that the Ukrainian Air Force discovers military points, equipment hangars, and areas where manpower is concentrated of the Russian army both in the occupied territories and in the regions bordering Russia, and strikes mainly with US and French-made aerial bombs. As a result, a significant amount of military equipment and manpower of the occupying army was destroyed. One of the Ukrainian naval drones attacking the Crimean Bridge has been targeted by a Russian military Lancet kamikaze drone. The surface drone, which was equipped with an air attack vehicle, was damaged after the strike and stopped moving. It should be noted that on June 3, air and sea drones belonging to the Ukrainian military attacked the Crimean Peninsula and the Crimean Bridge. As a result of the attack, explosions occurred on the bridge, temporarily stopping the traffic. In addition, as a result of an operation conducted by the Ukrainian Security Service, one of the underwater supports of the bridge was exploded and destroyed. Ukraine said the support structure of the bridge was destroyed by an explosive device planted there. However, Russia said the incident had been caused by the attack of surface drones. Russian forces are advancing in 3 districts of the Sumy region and are trying to get within range to strike the regional center with artillery fire, reports the US-based Institute for the Study of War. It is noted that Russian forces are intensifying attempts to expand the front line in the north of the Sumy region on 3 axes of advance toward the north and northeast of the city of Sumy. Geolocated video materials released on June 2 indicate that the Russians recently advanced north of the village of Andrivka and northeast of the village of Yablonivka, northeast of Sumy. According to Russian military bloggers, the Russian army recently captured Oleksivka, Novomykhailivka, and Kindrativka, all located north of Sumy, and also advanced to the northern part of Andrivka as well as west of Yablonivka and C. Analysts from the institute noted that Russian forces have recently intensified ground assaults north of Sumy toward Andrivka, as well as northeast of the city in the direction of Yunikivka and Myropilya. Ukrainian military observer Konstantin Mashevets reported that elements of the Russian 18th Motorized Rifle Division and the 177th Naval Infantry Regiment are engaged along the Konstantinivka-Kindrativka and Volodymyrivka-Oleksivka lines. Meanwhile, elite Russian airborne regiments, the 104th, 234th, and 237th VDV of the 76th VDV Division, are operating along the Lochnia-Yunikivka line. Reinforcements have been pulled in from other sectors, including units of the 752nd Motorized Rifle Regiment and the 200th Motorized Rifle Brigade from the Lyman and Chasiv Yar directions, the report reads. ISW adds that Russia appears to be trying to push to the Kodenkripivsk-China line, some 12 to 15 kilometers from Sumy city, potentially allowing them to shell the city with conventional tube artillery. Russian officials have repeatedly called for creating a buffer zone in this region and appear to be shaping the narrative to justify a broader offensive. Despite this, ISW maintains that Russian forces are unlikely to achieve a full occupation of the city in the foreseeable future. ISW continues to assess that Russian forces are highly unlikely to be able to seize Sumy city in the near to medium term, as Russian forces have not seized a Ukrainian city with a pre-war population greater than 100,000 since July 2022, the report reads. Ukrainian military analyst Konstantin Mashevets reported that units from the 104th, 234th, and 237th Airborne Regiments are operating along the Lochnia-Yunikivka line and to the west of Lochnia, all northeast of Sumy.